That was streaming. Shit, I went to record. Well, we're live now, so
Are we on the internet?
yes, I think so. We're on
Okay.
the interwebs, is how those young kids say, those youngins, old bastards, always running around everywhere. So it's been quite a while since I last did a video. I've does bring me to the topic of discussion for today, which the overall view of it is morality and ethics. Essentially, like, what is it, and the role that it can play in society, and just how groups of people can view it. Now, I know we briefly went over how I came to this topic and how somehow I connected it to the event over at Evergreen. Yeah, Evergreen
Evergreen
College.
College. If you call it Evergreen University, you out yourself as not being very familiar with it, as some people in the media have done. So it's definitely Evergreen College.
Yeah. So and for those who don't know, it's long story short, and we'll go into a bit more detail on it. The students protested calling the college, just completely racist, the faculty racist, and threatened to shut the campus down. Excuse me. And they successfully managed to do that for so many days. So it's some real bullshit that happened there, and how I got into the whole morality and ethics bit is kind of funny because I was watching an anime, which I am not going to bother with the Japanese title. I don't speak Japanese and I will fucking butcher it. But the synopsis was it's about pretty much we're in a country where there is no more dirty jokes allowed, that it's supposed to all be quote unquote pure, and anyone that is caught breaking this rule through, well, what other than monitoring devices on one's neck and wrists, is caught and sent to, I guess, a labor or prison or jail or something that wasn't too specific on it.
Anime Gulag.
Da, comrades, anime gulag just for dirty jokes. See, you laugh at dirty joke, you go gulag. Go now, motherfucker. Oh shit, I go gulag now too. But
Suck
yeah,
that.
and that country proclaimed to be the most quote unquote pure country in the world. And I'm just sitting here thinking, this is what it would look like if the fucking Westboro Baptist Church was in charge. Like, god damn. That was the first thing that came to mind to people who think I just only badge to the left. No, I vehemently despise both sides of it, at least both extremes. The more moderates I can at least talk to, and are not exactly batshit crazy either.
So let me ask you about what got you started on this. What exactly is this um, this fictional society prohibiting? Is it just dirty jokes? Is it more of making people conform to certain patterns of thought? Is it trying to be achieve some sort of purity? What is it?
Actually, yes, on all fronts. It's trying to completely get rid of like dirty jokes or any lewd gestures, even cursing, I think to a degree. I'd have to trust the translators a bit because I watched it subbed, so something is it's kind of at the mercy of people who just do this as a hobby. But yeah, they're
Mhm.
trying to achieve a sort of behavior that they want everyone in the society to follow. And it is trying to achieve the most subjective form of purity. Just and it's what I was noticing was that what they define as purity, I saw as just ignorance, like not knowing how to not coexist, but how to talk to the opposite sex, how to be in like a relationship with them, and stuff of that nature. And that's what the whole conformity was too, is just it was out of pure ignorance. But yet they came to this conclusion that through this ignorance, or purity as they called it, that they were somehow moral. They were morally superior to other countries that didn't have this sort of system implemented.
Well, that doesn't have any parallels today.
Oh no,
And
no. I mean, it's no. I'm just doing this for shits and giggles. Of course, there wouldn't be anything to talk about like that in present day. I mean, no. What was I thinking? Yeah, I just want to talk about how the grass is growing and how much paint I can watch dry in an hour. Turns out not very much without putting my head through the goddamn wall.
but seriously, so when you're watching this, what is the first thing that it reminds you of? Not necessarily on further reflection, but what's the first thing that pops into your mind?
God, I need to watch some porn. The first thing that
Oh,
popped into my
I'm just
mind
like
was,
your reasons for enjoying anime. I don't know.
yeah, no, all the little. I'm not going down that route. No, too late. Too late in the
I
day for me, and
I
too
know
late in life.
you could roll with that joke, but
Yeah, hey man, if you can't laugh at yourself, then what can you really do in life? I mean, that's I've had 7 years to come to, actually longer than that. Fuck, 10 years now to come to that conclusion. Longer than that. Fucking hell. So yeah, I've had a lot of time to come to this conclusion, and I just you know my life pretty well as being a close friend of mine. You know a lot of the circumstances I've been put in, the actions I've taken, and stuff like that. So it's so yeah, that's I'd rather just live kind of like that, how I see would be a good fit. So yeah, that's just that. But getting back to it was on a more serious note here was this this was a dystopia is how I saw it. It's trying to essentially enslave people to try to conform to a normal standard, what they saw is normal. Now, the reason why I bring in the Westboro Baptist Church and Evergreen is because this it might not exactly happen like in the anime, but it's very eerily similar to the parallels of it. I mean, on Evergreen College, as I said, the students protested, got it shut down, but going into more depth than that, it was students cornering teachers, professors over there, and telling them, white professors, mind you, and it's important because they were shouting at them, saying that this this college is racist, you're racist, you shouldn't be here, you shouldn't be teaching. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this. I only picked up some tidbits here and there, so I'm still a little green behind the ears for, I guess, a lot of the information out there. And chime in whenever you want as well, man.
you know that I can't control myself, and I will anyway.
Are you propositioning me?
Uh, that wasn't what I had in mind, but if that's what's on your mind, we can work something out. But yeah, anyway, about Evergreen.
Yeah, so then the students decide to protest and take to social media, saying that there better be no white people on campus on this day or they're going to get beat up or assaulted or something along those lines. And the university just completely shut down campus. And you had people were who were pictured with having bats, what appeared to be at housing compartments, compartments, housing projects like apartments and the like. And it's from my understanding, Evergreen has also lost quite a lot of public funding over this because it is, quite frankly, the inmates running the asylum. And this is and these people, they're threatening violence. And it's not just Evergreen College. You had it in Berkeley with You have it in Antifa, these riots that are going on. What happened in the G20 summit? Hold on. Excuse me. You had it
The G20 summit protests.
riots. They weren't protests, they were riots.
Okay, what was supposed to be or alleged to be protests,
Well,
but
that's
yeah, riots.
different.
Okay, so I follow.
Yeah, and then you have when Trump was just elected president, you had people taking to social media saying, "Oh, we better go kill Trump. Oh, it might be a good idea to assassinate Trump." And the CEO of a fucking company ends up saying that too. It's like, "I'm gonna go buy a sniper rifle and kill Trump." And it's like these people, they honestly think that that is the morally correct path to take. And then you go to the Westboro Baptist Church really isn't. Actually, they're not any better. They're really not. They would conform us all to a standard. Say like, okay, either you believe in God or we're going to hang your ass if they ever got into power. And let's be honest, that is what they would fucking do if they were a large enough group to actually worry about. They would cause a lot of trouble, much like Antifa is. Right?
Without getting too cynical here, I think that some of the history of the Middle Ages showed what such an attitude would do.
Yeah, and that's wasn't good, but I'm gonna focus on one side at a time here because I don't want to do the switching back and forth. So continuing on with like the left side of things, the far left rather, not just left but far left. Want to make that perfectly clear to everyone watching.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you also have the SJWs, you have the feminazis, different from feminists, mind you. Oh, don't you just love these identity politics now? So many labels to put on everyone.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what to call myself anymore. It's kind of annoying.
I just call myself Fred. Or Bob, I don't know. Depends on the day, I guess.
Well, it makes me feel better when I call you Bob too. So,
Is that before or after?
wow. I was not ready for
They never are. They never are. But
I'm
no,
not going to touch that.
yeah, you probably never will either.
You know, when you had me out here, I thought we were going to have like some really heavy duty conversation, and
What, I
instead
thought we were
we had
having
to,
a moment here.
yeah, I didn't know we were actually going to like have fun doing this.
Right,
At least fun in this way.
oh, I see now. So, little cucumbers, some KY jelly, maybe some WD-40 if you know what I mean.
I'm afraid I do.
Different, different story for a different time on that one. Oh God. No, on the left side, far left side, the feminists, feminazis. Oh fuck it, they're feminists.
Third
Uh,
wave feminist, at least.
yeah, third wave feminists. That might even be fourth wave now if we really want to look at things. But SJWs, we've got now Antifa that's just popping up. I shouldn't say just popping up. I'd venture to say that they've been here just in the shadows for quite a while. And these people are pretty much saying death to white males. And they would rather see in a society where if you're white and if you're male, god damn, something's wrong with me today. If you're white and male, then they'd pretty much put you in what would be slavery and be like, okay, so you're white, you're male, guess what? You're gonna get shit on by the rest of us. And I would, they would honestly treat us like fuck fourth tier citizens, and that's they see that as morally right. And that is so far from the truth. I don't know what to describe it on. That's why I'm saying morality and ethics are just subjective. There is no objectivity to it, much as the right may, well, the religious rather might claim that there is. It's subjective because you think Hitler No, let's not go down that route. Nope, nope, nope.
Well,
Goodwin's
the
law can
Godwin's law.
Goodwin's law can fuck right off. Can suck my left testicle. Well, what's left of it at least. Anyway, no, we'll take Mao for example. You think that when he was slaughtering, what was it, 20, 20 million, 30 million? He was starving out tens of millions of his own citizens. Do you think what he did was wrong? Or how about Stalin during the, oh god, what was the, I forget the,
Soviet Union,
yeah, it was a war between, a proxy war between the Soviet Union and the US at the
the
time.
Cuban Missile Crisis,
No, it wasn't that. It was essentially the civil war for the Soviet Union, the Reds versus Whites.
the Bolshevik Revolution. Or we
Yes, thank
talk
you.
later. Yeah,
Thank you. And both sides believed what they were doing was right. And that's it's only in hindsight now can we officially say that some of these events were wrong. And that's kind of my worry is what's going to happen if the far left gets in control or far right gets in control for too long to actually instill like a dictatorship. What's what's going to happen? Are we going to wake up one day and say, "Huh, this is wrong," even though we'd be oppressed to the point of lacking free thought or any way to really get us out of the situation?
that's um, that's a downer for sure. I think it's interesting when you hear the 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 SJW message and your response is to go to a larger point about morality in general. I mean, isn't it enough to simply reject an SJW type of morality without having to examine the roots of your own morality? I'm not saying I agree with that statement. I'm just playing devil's advocate for you on that one.
Yeah, I think I tapped on this in my previous video, and I think introspection, wherever you fall on the spectrum, fuck, introspection for everybody should be key, but so long as you can honestly look at yourself in a objective light and say, I don't see this as being right, I see this as something that's wrong. You have the BLM, for example, is a well, it's a racist group. Whether they're terrorists or not is easily debatable, but it's yet they don't see it. They don't see themselves as racist. They don't. The SJWs don't see themselves as racist. The Antifa don't see themselves as racist, even though they want to. Their message is to quote unquote help the blacks or minorities and other minorities, but they want to keep them on welfare. Well, which is it? Do you want to help them or do you want to keep them on welfare? Because the single greatest damage that ever occurred to the black family in America was the welfare system was put in place by Lyndon Johnson. That is effectively what destroyed the nuclear family for them. So getting not necessarily getting rid of it, but phasing out welfare for the most part. I'm not saying that welfare is all bad. It certainly helps people. I have a gaming buddy, who's on welfare, but she was also working at an airport too. So she was using it as supplemental income, which for, is how it should be used. Shouldn't just be you live off of it or live off of these free handouts. Holy shit, this is going into a completely another discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Change the title of this.
But you do realize that the people who you say are racist or who are tyrants, they really do think that they're helping the world. They do think they're eliminating racism. They do think they're tearing down the class hierarchies that keep the proletariat in chains, as it were. And isn't it really hard to get through to people who think they're doing God's work, as it were?
Oh man, it's yeah, it's again, that's as you said, they they see themselves as doing right by it, that they're in the right. They don't see what they're actually doing, and they're blinded by their own moral code. And that's but well, I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Morality is purely subjective because, as you pointed out, they're doing what they think is right, as I would hope most people do. And I can point out to, is murder right? Well,
Uh, I think you'd have a hard time finding anyone that would say, yeah, it's okay.
so what you're saying is murder in self-defense is not right?
Uh, I guess the word murder has a negative connotation that basically declares it as wrong a priori. But if you put it in those terms, people would be willing to, you know, negotiate on it, I guess.
Exactly, it's not so black and white. I I've had this conversation with my dad as well, and I couldn't get through to him, fortunately, but no, that's kind of the signs of differing generations, so whatever. That's yeah, that's why I'm saying it's subjective, and if it's subjective, it can easily be changed. It can be looked at and saying this is not right, that this is not the way that things should be. But as you pointed out too, is they think they're doing God's work. God.
Uh,
But
by the way, for anyone listening, that was recorded live. That was not added in post. Um, I kind of wish it were added in post.
yeah, I'm a bit too lazy with editing, so I might just throw this entire video on. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really got detracted, which is kind of why I did want a little bit prep time. But I think just speaking from the mind is also better too. You,
So why does, or maybe I already sort of asked you this in a different way, but why do you go from uh, seeing a fictional account of a totalitarian society and jump from there to morality or ethics in general? Um, why does it make you go there? Why doesn't it make you think of just say the topics at hand, whether it be the SJW message or racism or whatever it is specifically? Why go to the bigger issue? What makes you think of that?
I don't know because maybe it's the media pushing a left agenda all the damn time. So because they keep pushing that way, I start seeing politics everywhere I go and see now. Or maybe I have just a unhealthy obsession, I guess you could say, of politics now in life, especially considering it's kind of critical now, I think. And it's
What's critical?
politics. What's going on in the country right now? I see that as a critical turning point because you have the millennials coming up being these SJW types. Then you have Gen Z coming up. Think they're Gen Z, the ones before us are coming up to be more conservative.
Can we just call them the Snapchat generation?
Whatever. Thought that was
That's my
okay-ish.
preferred term, but I doubt I'll get anyone else on board with it.
You never know. Maybe this platform goes viral or something. I don't know. I'm not that charismatic though.
So when you say that you think the generation after the millennials is coming up more conservative, why do you think that is?
Probably a multitude of factors, but I think it's because they're not. Well, I'd say they're not being brainwashed in schools, but that's not quite right. They're going through the same education system that the millennials went through. What I think is happening is because media is becoming more and more expansive, that right the right side, the conservative party, I don't want to say what's actually right or wrong, that's but the conservative party, the platform is able to get their message out more, and you have 13 or 14-year-olds, as Milo Yiannopoulos puts it, 13 or 14-year-olds are watching and listening to his platform rather than what their parents' platform is, which they viewed as bullshit. So I think this generation, the Snapchat gen, as you put it, is they're more free thinking. I think is what's happening. That they're seeing their parents, they're seeing the world how we see it right now, and they're not liking where it's going. So instead of going the same way, they're going in the opposite direction with their politics, with their ideologies, and as such, they're becoming more conservative. I think that just scratches the surface of it. It's really hard to give a in-depth analysis on it as I haven't really given it much thought. Doo 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 doo. You're gonna
Oh,
make
I'm
me.
sorry. I'm sorry. I was mic muted there. I muted myself.
You know I'm gonna have to go back through and actually edit that out now, right? I'm a
I guess
lazy
so.
man, dude.
I mic muted myself. Um, anyway, I was just going to say, you, at the same time you say that, though, you do see that a lot of the SJW movement um, is fueled by younger people. And so, what do you think leads to that?
Well, same thing that we've gone through the public education system, as well as having their parents try to influence their thoughts. I mean, there was. Oh god, I saw this on. Oh yeah, because everything on the internet you see is true. But I wouldn't put it past it. But a story came up. I can't remember where I saw it. It was definitely promoted on YouTube, on one of the channels that I frequent. And that was that a female feminist, was in fear. Oh, was it? I'm gonna get sidetracked if I think about it anymore, but was essentially a female feminist was afraid for her life because she was afraid that her sons would rape her.
Reasonable. And when I say reasonable, I mean that sarcastically, in case any of you are really thick.
And so you have people like that. Then you have oh, and I can't even touch that story with a 20-foot pole, but let's try. Grease up that 30-foot pole. I'm gonna need it. Was
Okay.
a I don't even know how to describe. Well, mentally ill mother saying that they will raise their child as no gender. And you have. I don't doubt that this is going to be the first case on anything, but you probably have. I really don't want to incite anything, or this is just mere speculation. You have these radical SJWs having kids and trying to brainwash them, saying that, okay, yeah, teach men not to rape and don't do this and do that, treat women like this, treat men like that, treat minorities like this, and blah, 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 blah. And the education system, the public education system, and even higher education in college, especially in colleges, are just reinforcing this through the years, through their teaching. And I think that's where the SJWs are coming from, are mainly these college professors. Now, to go further in depth into it, I think what's going on is with the SJW movement is that it's kind of like finding a place to belong to. If you're entering college, kind of like how I did, you're you're searching for a place to belong to, like a group to be in.
Yeah, I
To
think we've all experienced a little bit of that at some point or other in our life.
yeah, to have a sense of belonging, and then you finally find this group who seem to be endearing, and you're taking in this message, even if you think the message is utter bullshit, but you still go along with it because you don't want to be expelled from the group, quote unquote expelled from it. And there was a psychology study done on this, that done by a child who was black, and the reason that that is important is because they were what the study was. I'm going to go over that. What the study was the not the results, but what happens to someone when they're invited into a group and then the group starts to ignore them. They were looking for the results of that. And so they got a black child, and he was playing on an online game with a computer, mind you.
Hmm.
And the child was told that the computer was another player who was part of the KKK. Now, yeah, I got a laugh out of that too, but a group that would hate the child for no other reason than their race, they still played together, but the computer started to ignore him and move on to the other computers. And even though the child knew about the KKK, they knew what they stood for, it knew that the group hated him and that the computer hated him. Still, being excluded from the group hurt him severely, even when it was the KKK, supposed KKK doing it. And I think that's what's going on in colleges right now with this SJW movement and Antifa.
So there's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, it's a powerful force to want to be in the in group. I've I've experienced it before. Thankfully, it's never led me to too bad of a place. It's never led me to want to be friends with anyone in the KKK. I, am not sure if the KKK even still exists, and if it does, maybe its only members are those computers in the study. I don't know.
Yeah, close enough.
So you're also saying here that your position is that morality is subjective. So what do you mean by that? Maybe you could give me an overview of your perspective on that.
Well, morality is how we see things as right or wrong. That's a brief overview of it. I'm not going to go through and pick up a dictionary for anyone here, but it's morality is what's right and wrong. It's it's the same reason, it's the same problem I have with the word normal, with normality, is that it's a term that's supposed to have an object meaning that is fact, that this is right, this is wrong, this is normal. But that's not the case. I've gone to I've gone to many people, and they've always been choked up with my normality question. And just trying to describe it, and morality is in the same light, is that there is no hard this is right, this is wrong. It's not black and white like that. It's is this right or is this wrong? Could it possibly be both or neither? And that there is a very large gray area in morality. We all live by a specific code. The vast majority of us, I don't think, will kill someone in cold blood, won't go out to steal from anyone, may not even go out assaulting people. But we all see this as something that's wrong, but you get someone who has to steal to stay alive, who has to fight, even kill to get a meal, to stay alive. I don't think they would view any of those as being wrong because that's how they were raised. That's their that's their survivability on the line right there. So how can one side be right but the other side be wrong? Would it be wrong for us to deny a person life just because they stole something or because they shouldn't steal something? Would that be wrong?
So, how would you respond to people who say, well, you may think that morality is subjective, but, you know, murdering without a very good reason is always wrong, dude. And that's not subjective. And cheating is always wrong. And, maybe people would concede there are cases where it could be justified, but they would say, but that still doesn't, make it not wrong in the vast majority of situations. What do you say to that sort of argument?
I would say, have you ever killed your enemies in cold blood before?
Eh?
No, not A. He's not Canadian, eh? He's not from good old Canada. Hey, over there, let's go. Wait, fucking Russian Canadian. Oh, jeez. He's up the gulag, eh? Go on, hop on train, eh? Up
Well,
the
if we're going
Hoosiers.
with stereotypes, I think most Canadians are too polite to kill in cold blood.
Yeah, possibly. But no, it's again, it's hard to say. Is it right for someone to kill another person for the right to live? That would be, say you took two people in a gladiatorial arena, both fighting for survival. That would essentially be in cold blood too, would it not?
Maybe.
So if that's the case, then is it wrong to deny both of them life? Is it wrong for only one to live, or is it wrong for both to die? Or that's why I say it's such a gray area. Yes, I think there is a large amount of things that we can agree on that are inherently wrong. I think cheating, as an example, is a good example for this because I can't come up with any reason why cheating would be good or in any scenario where cheating could be good. So there's definitely some areas where I think people can agree on that there is a clear right or wrong way to go about things, but the vast majority of the time is just one big gray area.
Oh, what about something like racism? Wouldn't racism always be wrong?
Define
And therefore,
racism here.
well, okay, yeah, that's a fair criticism of such an argument. Um, but isn't it true that it would always be wrong to, let's say, mistreat someone based on their race? And you can define mistreat, use whatever example you want, but wouldn't mistreating someone based on the race be one of these things that is always wrong?
I could. There are some examples, some hyperboles that could be used, but those would have to be under some extraordinary circumstances first off. So I'm not gonna bother using them for this video. Just wanted you to know that I do have some things in mind. But yeah, I would say that it is wrong to treat people differently based off of the color of their skin or the whether they have a dick or not.
Um, so based on that, do you think there's an argument to be made for the morality of what, say, third or fourth wave feminists are doing, or the social justice advocates, or SJWs, or whatever you want to call them? Do you think there's an argument to be made for them?
Now, are you talking that they are morally just or that they are not morally just?
Well, I'm asking if, based on the way that you define morality, isn't there a way to fit their sort of morality in there too and say that they're at least morally acceptable? Or are they doing something that's beyond the bounds?
Okay, I see. I would say no, for the straight up fact that they would be seeking, or the vast majority at least, would be seeking to treat others differently based off of A, the color of their skin, and the gender. As I said, I think they would honestly put straight white males Oh yeah, just another label, straight in there. Straight white males. Although I think they'd also throw Milo Yiannopoulos in there, but he can be our ambassador, I suppose. That glorious bastard. But no, I would say they would throw people in concentration camps based off of color of their skin or their gender. And that's honestly what I'm seeing is they're shouting down people of a particular skin color, of a particular gender. Everwinter College, again, did this. And these are SJWs who are doing it. They're shouting at white professors, saying that they are racist, that this university, that this college is racist, and all this stuff. No, I don't think that these SJWs are moral, have any moral acceptance. What they're preaching, yes, to be for diversity, to be for equality. Yes, that's a nice overall goal. I can't imagine too many people being against equality, but the way that they're going about it is, I see, is being incorrect. Because as I said, they're doing it in a way that actually is racist, that actually is sexist.
So, where did they go wrong then? Is it that they're trying to do something that's right, but you know, they end up doing something that's wrong, or do they not care about right and wrong in the first place? Where are they going wrong?
Well, caring about what's right or what's wrong, again, we're getting into that gray area because there's not, I don't see too much being set in stone as to that precedent. As for where they went wrong, I don't know. I haven't taken a gender studies course yet.
I, I don't necessarily mean like in their history. I just mean what is it about? Um, what is it that you find objectionable then about an SJW or a third or fourth wave feminist mindset in the first place?
Well,
Like,
SJWs would be. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I didn't know if I phrased that well enough.
Okay, no, I think I got it. I, I've got different beefs with SJWs and with feminists. I don't think they can be lumped into the same category for
Okay,
this
well,
kind of stuff.
describe each one for me then.
The SJWs, I would say, just what they preach and what they act on are two different things. I said they're for equality, they're for diversity, but the way they're going about it, shouting down people who have different opinions than them, shouting down people who are a different skin color, well, who are white and who are male and straight. God, I gotta love identity politics. And they're effectively trying to discriminate against a particular group. Their message is, I think their message is great, all for equality. And I feel that that's something that everyone. How many times did I just say that? I think it's
No,
something that everyone or most people can agree on, is equality is good. But I think what they're looking for is equality of outcome rather than equality of opportunity. And for
yeah,
those
that's an
who,
important distinction.
yeah,
Sorry to.
no, you're good. And for those who say, "Oh, it's all about equality of outcome," well, let me run this hypothesis, I'm sorry, scenario by you. Would you rather have a lawyer who worked his way to get to the top, or would you rather have a lawyer who is just passed it because they needed someone there, just because to fill out the numbers? Would you rather have a heart surgeon who has been working on the job for so many years, who is top of his class, who did everything right? Or would you rather want a dropout just because, gotta round out the numbers, right?
Dude, they work their way up through a corrupt and stacked system, a system that systematically oppresses the people who aren't in the privileged groups.
And that, I swear to God, officer, I've never seen that guy in my life. You can't prove anything against me. There's no body to be found. Oh shit, I said that there's no evidence. Fuck. As for feminists, though. their message, their entirety of the movement right now is incorrect. Their message again, like equality, rape culture. Oh, fucking Christ. There's another one that I have to explain to the police officers. No, no, no. You gotta stop coming to me, guys. I don't know anything about those missing bodies. Wait, you said that there was only one, right? Yeah, I meant body. What did I say? Oh, good. The wage gap. Officer, I swear to God, this is the third time, man. You just gotta keep me on speed dial instead. And then they're about equality, but they're actually for oppressing men. The movement isn't about equality, it's about trying to get a special privilege in life. They're trying to become superior to men through status. And they claim to be for men's rights as well, and that's not the case. So everything about the movement right now, the feminist movement right now, is just lying, essentially. And I don't. Lying is also in a gray area for morality as well. But in this instance, I don't think lying is the right way to go about things. It's the only way I can see the feminist movement get members is through this lie about this grandeur image of a utopia. And that's never going to happen. We're going to go into a dystopia before anything like that happens. By then, I think it's going to be too late to reverse any damage. But if they were lying to say to try to protect people or something like, oh, I don't know, like, no, no, honey, your ass doesn't look fat in that dress. No, your fat ass looks fat though. And
Yeah,
that's
that was one thought I had while you were describing the anime you had watched. You described it as dystopian world, but I was thinking that the people who wanted that sort of world or that sort of society, they would describe it as utopian, and everyone who didn't share their view of what that didn't share their ideals, let's say, they would describe it as dystopian. So one man's paradise is another man's hell, I guess.
true, but I didn't explain some of the parts on it. It's for lack of a better definition, a porno terrorist who terrorizes the public with porno.
That's my
Yes.
kind of terrorist.
Yeah. So yeah, and as that's essentially the entire premise of the show. Then is this group is formed and tries to get to the society to see that the morality that they spout is just ignorance and nonsense through these images of half-naked women and actually flies literally fucking. Yes, they showed a video of flies fucking. So I can honestly say that I have watched flies fuck
In an anime
in an anime
at that. Yeah.
about porno terrorists. Yeah,
Well, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing to come out of Japan, but
honestly, at this point, I think it tops the list right now for me. And I have seen some weird shit. But yeah, and as people start to be exposed to this material again, then I think that they would start to. It ends after one season, so it doesn't go this in depth, and it doesn't. They might see the society as okay. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't the morale kind of society. Maybe this is something that's just trying to keep us chained down, to try to keep to a certain mindset. Maybe this is actually is a dystopia versus what we thought was a utopia.
so what was it in that you saw comparisons to a sort of right wing dystopia?
As I said, the Westboro Baptist Church. I'm taking extremes on both sides. If the fucking God, fucking help us if the church ever gets into government. That's why I will always say no to a tithe tax, because the moment that those fuckers start taxing the churches, we're fucked. I want to make that perfectly clear because then the church actually gets a say in the country. Fuck no. Fuck no, my wee lads. That's
Wait,
all.
what? I don't follow what you're saying.
No,
Maybe I don't know as much here.
I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but taxing a church means that the churches would actually get a say in the country, would actually get a say in government, and I'm completely against that. That's what I'm just getting at.
Okay.
But taking the Westboro Baptist Church as the prime example, we can all agree that they are batshit crazy motherfuckers, and that what they view as moral would be the fucking Amish, and that's honestly, that is what embodies the anime the best is the fucking Amish world, just with technology. Oh no, that woman can't show any more. Hey, lady, show me your ankles. Oh yeah, and that's where they would send us with the whole oh God, you must appease God, otherwise he will smite you to hell for all eternity. Uh,
Oh, in what way does it remind you of the Amish?
it was just the whole the conformity thing, really. Is what brought up the Amish. Just trying to think that this is right, this is how we must live, this society is the greatest and stuff like that. I'm not trying to categorize the Amish in any of these ways, just that they don't use technology, that they are that they have a strong belief in their religion, and that's essentially what I tried to link up with it. I'm not saying the Amish are bad in any way, shape, or form, or that they live in a dystopia, mind you.
Yeah,
Because in all honesty, Amish country is looking really good right about now. But
they raise some really good turkeys too.
yeah, gobble gobble, motherfucker. But yeah, it was just I guess a better comparison would be a cult, sort of, in that it's
Like a society-wide cult.
yeah,
but but you're comparing it to that. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah, that's really is what it is. The far right, far religious right, would have us like in that society where there can't be anything indecent or immoral, quote unquote, and that it would just be a total control of viewing material. And mind you, because if I didn't touch up on this on the when I was talking about the far left, does not mean that they wouldn't also pull this shit either. Want to keep that in mind. But they would try to censor the viewing material of what we would have. They would limit it. They would chop out books. Oh God, the books. Well, they'd burn the books, not chop out, but burn them. But yeah, why not? And it would be it would be a form of control, trying to instill God into us. And well, kind of got a beef with the big guy. And that
So so um, do you see any of that sort of a dystopia, even in very minor ways, already coming to pass in present day societies, either ours or others?
um,
Like, surely you see some parallels of what's already happened, right?
yeah, in some countries, I mean, in terms of the far right, probably the worst that it gets would be Poland. Just well, no, probably the Islamic countries would be the as bad as the far right gets. Just complete oppression, with Sharia law and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's I think is the best example that I can think of off the top of my head for far right. In terms of far left, well, get a world map out and throw a dart at it.
Really? You think it's that widespread?
Well, Eastern Europe is the only thing that would be that's pretty much keeping Europe alive right now. Funny enough, not by economic standards either. But no, Germany got fucked by the far leftists. But then again, I think that was more, oh well, we gave rise to the Nazi Party. I'm sorry, the Nationalist Socialists. Yes, that's right, you little fuckers. Socialism was the Nazi Party.
Yeah, that's literally what Nazi either means or is short for, right? It's National Socialist, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, haha. No, it's Germany's government, which I do think was a guilt trip too, as well. They're getting fucked up. France is also suffering too under a leftist regime. Sweden's gone, man. It is gone at this point. And that's because of a feminist government. Yes, a lovely feminist government ruins an entire Scandinavian country. Who could have imagined?
Yeah, some people jokingly call it Kukistan. Uh,
I call it Fuckistan at this point because it's fucked. And there's a lot of Muslims there. And because it's also the rape capital of the world.
well, I mean, I go to university in Detroit, so I mean, I maybe I shouldn't throw too many stones or whatnot.
Throw as many stones as you want. Might come collapsing down on you someday anyway, so might as well have fun before it does then, right?
So, in terms of morality and ethics, are there any other opinions that you have that you don't think others necessarily share? Or where do you think the biggest difference between your ideas and most other people's ideas lie?
Well, I
And
think
because this is edited, you can, have a moment to think about that if you want.
I think an opinion that only I share is the Polacks need a tank with the winged hussars on the back of it and the side, and call it the winged hussar, and go fight the Islamic terrorists that are threatening Europe right now. Because Polacks are great kebab removers, no? Let's hold on. What? I will be editing that one out. An opinion
I
that
know.
I don't, that I have that others. There's several billion people in the world, so my ideas are going to overlap. I don't think, realistically speaking, that there actually is an idea or philosophy that I have that other people don't.
I don't mean 100% unique. I mean, but it's also true that you think deeper about things than a lot of other people do. And so, you know, you could label a whole bunch of people as undecided about a number of topics. So, don't sell yourself too short in terms of uniqueness.
Yeah.
But I will say that when you brought up the topic, um, I didn't really know you were going towards a morality is subjective sort of argument, and I was like, well, I'm surprised by that. I didn't necessarily know that that's what he thought, and I didn't know this would be the thing that would make you bring it up, especially in the context of a sort of dystopian possible future. I mean, if morality is subjective, like, is it so bad to have a dystopian future?
Well, yes, if we're all friggin' oppressed to the point of just sheer ignorance. What's why I also bring it up is because I there's a lot of parallels between what's going on now, what's happening now and in the future, in the anime. And one of it was all of the media was being shifted to digital. And we're seeing that now with the likes of stuff like the Kindle, iPads, even PCs. And a lot of the stuff is a lot of the hard copy stuff. is being phased out in exchange for digital copies. And when that happens, it's easier to try to control people, try to control what they view. And that's exactly the steps that happened. They started phasing out the hard copies, they shifted it all to digital, and then they started to put legislation in so that it limited and controlled the viewing material that people could view. And then they eventually made it so that it was illegal to do certain hand gestures or say certain words. And I don't think it'll be as bad in the real world. It could very well happen there because we're also starting to get rid of cash in exchange for using credit cards, even phones for transactions now. So controlling the populace, I think, is a very real possibility in the future.
And so controlling the populace would theoretically enable such a sort of control and dystopian type of future, you're saying?
Well, it was stated before that a group of people is only as smart as the dumbest one in the group, so,
You really think that?
I mean, have you seen what's been going on in the world recently?
Yeah, but I mean, surely you don't think that a group of people is literally as smart as the dumbest one among them.
I don't know, I think that,
I assume you were being hyperbolic there. Just clarifying, though. Maybe you're not. I don't know.
I think it's, I think it's more said tongue in cheek than really anything,
Mm.
but I guess it goes back to you get people who think that what they're doing is righteous, it's for justice, it's God's work that must be done, and we're the only ones who can do it. Those zealous types of people, yeah, I do think that is the case. Because then all it takes is anyone with, say, like a megaphone or even charisma, a little bit of charisma. Fuck, fuck the charisma, you just need a fucking megaphone at that point, and you can control the mob. I mean, how much do you want to bet that I could walk into an Antifa riot or rally with a megaphone and actually lead them? Now, that's actually not saying too much coming from me, but with my political views the way they are, I could very well and very easily just lead them, lead a group like that.
Whoa, you're saying your political views are close to what, Antifa?
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing a mass exodus execution of. Well, let's not go down that route. No, no, no. It's for those who are unaware, that was just a very sad attempt at dark humor, something that I can't say I love, but I can't say that I hate. It just is. But no, 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 no. You know where I stand, and after my third video or fourth video, I don't remember which this is. I think my views are pretty obvious to those that have been watching along for, well, one video at least.
Okay, because I got a little bit nervous there when you're like, yeah, with my political views, I could go to an Antifa rally
Oh,
and lead them. And I thought, whoa, 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 maybe we've been talking about the wrong thing this whole time. Maybe we
oh, you
should.
misunderstood me then. No, my political views are probably vehement, are toxic to them, or may very well even be diametrically opposed, for that matter, to Antifa. What I'm saying is, all it would take is just a megaphone and some sweet little lines provided by Adolf Hitler. Fun little story on that, and another tangent for those keeping track. Guy actually went to an Antifa rally and just used Hitler quotes, and they cheered.
Did see that video.
Yeah. So again, it wouldn't be that hard to lead people, to lead, well, sheep, as that's really what they are. And a large group like that, you get the whole mob mentality thing going. And yeah, again, it's also the you don't want to be left out from the group. If people are on the fence about Antifa or are in Antifa, they're not just going to pick up and leave the group just right there thinking, whoa, 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 wait, this guy's quoting Hitler and they're cheering. Maybe I need to reevaluate my life a little bit and get back on track. No. And same thing with the counter movement that's happening now, too, is that, again, mob mentality and they want to stay within the group. So even if they have opposing views, they're not going to be like, okay, so I'm now completely against them, while in the group at least. Maybe if they get back home and reevaluate everything when they're separated from the group, maybe that's when it happens, but while it's actually in progress or a meeting is in progress, no.
So, do you think you're a little less prone to mob mentality than other people are?
No.
How do you protect yourself against the worst parts of it?
Don't go into a mob. Dude, I'm a friggin' introvert. I don't get out. That's my honest secret. Because I can actually stand not going out every day. I can be holed up in my room in my house and be fine with it. That's how I protect myself.
Don't you still engage socially just via the medium of the internet a lot of the time? And therefore, maybe you're not physically in the company of other people, but you're still having the same sort of social interaction, therefore would still be, possibly as vulnerable to it as anyone.
I don't think the effects are as great online as they are in person because online you're anonymous. You can be whoever or whatever. Fuck right off Tumblr that you want to be. And that's you can even be your own individual. I know this may seem like a very radical notion to a certain type of people, but it's an actual possibility. Whereas in face to face, well, I don't think it's as easy to establish your individuality in a mob like that.
So, what about for the people who do either want to go out physically in the presence of other people or who, for whatever reason in their digital encounters might still be prone to that? What's the wisest course of action to not be seduced by any mob mentality or the worst parts of our human nature in regards to all the stuff we've been talking about? How do we stop from becoming that thing that we know we should not be?
The thing that we should know not to be, again, we're going into a very subjective field now. I mean, we
Well,
shouldn't
you
be
did declare that morality is subjective, so
yeah,
I'm taking it for granted here.
we shouldn't be racist, we shouldn't be sexist, we should be for equality. But it's I feel like I may have deflected a bit on that, and that wasn't my intention. To protect oneself, I'm not one to give out advice. I'm on that. I'd say
Hey,
just don't go into a mob or something, or just remember your individuality. But I guess circumstances would also play a factor in it because if you feel that your life might be in danger or your physical well-being or well-being of your friends or family might be in danger, I would say either put yourself in a situation where you can get out of that, or the best bet would be to go with the flow for now, and then when you see a chance to escape or back out, take it. But yeah, just I would say to avoid mob mentality, remember your individuality. But even then, there was a case back in the what was it 1950s or 1960s? Might have been even as recent as the 1990s. I don't remember, but there was a woman who was being raped right in right in a busy city, and she cried for help for, was it 15 or 30 minutes or so, but no one came to help even though there were many bystanders around. That's an example of mob mentality. It's no one wanting to step up because they don't want to be noticed. And it I don't know how to really defend from that. I've never been in a situation where there really has been a mob mentality sort of feature for me to be afflicted by.
Yeah, it's not easy. I wouldn't necessarily know what to say about it myself.
Well, what about you? What would you recommend doing?
Um, Something that's really important for every single one of us in all sorts of ways in life is having the ability to say no, or to not need to either agree with someone or get along with someone or have any sort of conflict or disharmony. You have to be able to say no to some people. And that will help you very much so that people don't take advantage of you in all sorts of ways in life. But it's also very applicable to something like this. Um, if you disagree with someone, you don't necessarily have to make a big deal out of it. You don't even have to tell them, but you do have to have the ability to, when you need to, say no. That's all I'll say.
That's good advice. Well, I think that'll just about wrap up our session today. Thanks for joining me again, man. It's always fun talking to you.
It's my pleasure. It has been enjoyable.
All right.